Privacy is live now, across every network. But private means different things underneath the surface. Who can read your data? Who gets plain text access? Who keeps it encrypted all the way through the process? Two networks say the same thing, printed on the same box. One lets an operator look, one keeps the whole path locked. It's not cosmetic, it's not just the claim, it's the cryptography that writes the name. Who can actually read it, who can't touch the line? That's the question every single time. Privacy is the standard, the approach is the difference. Privacy is the standard, show me what your system does. Keep it private, keep it live, not a promise on a slide. Privacy is the standard, the approach is the difference. COTI uses garbled circuits, contracts on encrypted data. Nobody can see inside on any device. Standard solidity. COTI GC, privacy is live, not theoretical. Built for real production, built for something measurable. The COTI token powers private moves across chains, protocols and programmable privacy solutions in the frame. Institutional money, one move blind in the light. Traders need their strategies out of everyone's sight. So the answer isn't if, it's how you deliver and what you give up when you cross that river. Privacy is the standard, the approach is the difference. Privacy is the standard, show me what your system does. Keep it private, keep it live, not a promise on a slide. Privacy is the standard, the approach is the difference. 4 ways to make it private, same word, different math. Who sees the truth? Who walks the path? Permission views encrypted end-to-end, disclosure by design, or trust in the end. Privacy is the standard, the approach is the difference. Privacy is the standard, show me what your system does. Keep it private, keep it live, not a promise on a slide. Privacy is the standard, the approach is the difference. Difference.
Hey, Soren, are you there, man? I know you're there somewhere. What's up, guys? Welcome to this interesting edition of COTI Confidential. As we live react to COTI Connect, probably not going to be talking too much over it, but more like monitoring the chat. And Soren, can you hear me? What's going on?
Yeah, I hear you fine, mate. Do you hear me?
I hear you just great. Thanks.
Excellent, excellent.
So, yeah, obviously, a couple days ago, took the community by storm, and we really didn't have all the details quite yet, which is, kind of like a common playbook thing. So it's going to be interesting to see, hopefully, I will say usually how COTI does it is they do monitor the community, and then they will, answer most of the questions that really seem to be on the community's mind. I don't expect this to be too different. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I think you're absolutely right about that. I think they are very clear on what the concerns are now, because they've been aired by literally 100 different community members. Yeah. So the main concerns are obviously around what's the future for G-COTI. What is the future plan for the 58% of tokens in the emission schedule that are now to a large extent, not needed anymore, or at least not for the time being.
Yeah.
So I think those are the sorts of issues, and then maybe some more concrete information about the upcoming project work. It's very clear that they're going all in on the institutional stuff, and I get that, and I applaud that. But we need to understand, all that stuff that's in and around it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know the hot topic, it seems, for those two are the big ones. You're right, but for a lot of people, the G-COTI thing is a really hot topic because to me, that was for the people who followed the closest, you know what I mean, who had been around the longest. Some people were still holding on to their airdrops and stuff, and a lot of people who got those airdrops really doubled down and went 1-to-1 in the treasury. I mean, how many times did we talk about what made sense was to go 1-to-1 to the treasury, right? So
absolutely, we've been big proponents and supporters of the G-COTI concept. I know it has its detractors as well, and those guys have been very clear. Thanks to the Frenchman. But no, a lot of people have invested a lot of money in this, and I do get the argument that if all of this put together means that we pump to 50 cents in the next 3 months, we're probably going to recover from the G-COTI losses and be happy anyways. But
do you remember back in the day?
There's no guarantee that we're going to do that. In fact, there's probably more of a guarantee that we're not going to do that, just because the market's the market and the way it is at the moment. I do get the argument, but it still does not absolve anyone from giving a proper explanation, because this has been promoted by everyone involved with the ecosystem for quite a while. So
you remember back in the day when we were trading G-COTI via the Telegram chat, and we had oh man, that would, like, do you remember the prices back then? Like what that was worth? It was wild for a while.
They were high. Yeah, they were much higher than they were 1 week ago. So no, people have spent significant amounts of money on this, and I think we owe it to them to at least be clear about what's the future for G-COTI. Yeah, I noticed that the team has left the door a little bit open for all these community-facing initiatives to make a comeback once, for lack of a better explanation, once the markets improve. Yeah.
So
is that gonna be the answer? Is, listen, guys, hold on to your G-COTI for a year, and then let's, that's not going to be satisfactory to most people, but that might be what we're going to hear.
I mean, without more information, I just couldn't dump all of mine because, I didn't. How do you know what's going on, right? So
no, exactly, and you're not the only one who feels like that, I'm sure.
Yeah. When COTI does go live here, can you guys just help me out in the chat and let me know if the volume levels are okay and everything sounds all right? Because Soren and I aren't going to be, we're going to go to our keyboards at that point and just listen in. I just want to make sure that the audio levels are suitable, which could be any minute, right? So.
Yeah, I'll be mostly quiet during the stream. I want to listen to what's going on. And what happens in Bangkok. What happens in Bangkok stays in Bangkok, by the way.
I've never seen you make that face more than this once. You were astonished and appalled, and yeah, that I've never seen you make that face before. Yeah, I know a lot of people talking about a swap and a lot more people saying you guys are dreaming. So, hopefully we find something out in a few minutes here.
Yeah, it all depends on what the future is for G-COTI. You can do a swap now, and then you'll maybe have to in a year from now buy the whole bloody lot back for 2 or 3 times the price, or you can hold on to it, and then maybe there's a future for G-COTI, and maybe there isn't. So you're just taking a punt on it. I'm not sure there's an ideal solution for this.
Yeah. All right. I've got butterflies or something. I don't know. Okay, here we go. All right, you guys hearing that? I hope. Let me know in the comments, please.
Yeah, volume is fine, at least in my end.
How about you guys in the chat? Can you just confirm, please? All right, so here we go. Soren and I are going to take a back seat to this. We will jump into the chat. Let's see what's coming next. Volume good? Yeah, right on. Are you ready? I don't think this is. Yeah, I got it cranked. So I think it'll come in louder in a bit. If it's not suitable, you guys can just jump out.
We'll let you know.
All right, I'm going on mute. See you guys in a bit.
See ya.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the COTI Connect community live stream. Thank you for tuning in. Shahaf, welcome.
Hello.
How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. It's been quite a few days, but I'm all good.
Awesome. Yeah, same. You know, it's been a big week this week. We've had a lot of big announcements. We've covered a lot of big topics that have involved going all in on enterprise privacy and a really refined, focused mission. And with that came some big changes across the ecosystem that were announced this week. And the goal today is to dig into all of this, to cover the questions, to cover the announcements. But yeah, Shah, if you want to just touch on ultimately the decisions that were made and the updates.
Yeah, look, I guess in many ways it's not an easy decision, right? Because like we know, quite a few people will be hurt by this decision. But it's the right decision, and we know it, and I guess other people understand and know it too, right? And I guess this is the part where leadership is difficult, because you need to do something that is not popular, at least to some people, but you know that long term it's good and it's the right thing to do. So this is what I did, and obviously I'm 100% behind this. We are making room for the new, and for that we gotta lose some things, and I touched that a few weeks ago, and so this is where we stand with this. And I've looked at some sentiment reports, and obviously I am following the channels, and I kind of read what people say, and I would say that it's we have a third that is supportive of this decision, and that they're glad that the focus is on privacy and real utility, and they quote unquote happy to see their reward sell pressure end. Okay. There's a third that is hurt by this decision, and again, it's a lot of people that have been in the community forever, and this makes it painful for the team and for me personally. So it's specifically G-COTI holders or treasury stakers, or would be a node runner. But these are smart people, so I guess their anger is mostly about how it landed, overnight with no warning, and not just not the decision itself. So I'll try to touch this specifically, but the short of it is that the only way to do this is kind of like immediately and abrupt, and not drag this for long. And there's a third who just have questions, all sorts of questions about migration and KuCoin access and whatnot. And of course, we'll touch that as well in this stream. So yeah, let's get right to it.
All right, yeah, let's dig in. I think that was helpful, and I think it's important to lay out the evolution of the landscape and touch on where things are at today. It shouldn't be a surprise to anybody looking at the market, looking at charts. The fact that we have such an active and engaged community is honestly really a gift, because so many others don't share in this that have been around in Web3 for a while. Because it's not a secret, right, guys? Like Web3 has been struggling for a very long time. You can see that retail activity and interest is at 2-year lows. There's been bear market in altcoins for years. The viewership on YouTube is really low. The engagement across social is really low. This is very, I think ultimately it will turn around. This isn't a forever thing, but I think you have to look at that. And I think at the same time, something that we've been very embedded in throughout this year, have gotten to speak to the partners and be front and center, is the fact that the enterprise and institutional demand for building on chain has never been like it is right now. Like all of the biggest banks and financial services of the firms of the world just woke up this year due to regulatory clarity and the technology readiness, and they said, okay, it's time. Like we're going to tokenize the stock market. It's going to trade 24/7. We're going to lead into stable coins, and trillions of dollars have been transferred in stable coins already. You've got RWA movement happening. Like so much is going on the institutional and enterprise front. And you guys who are part of this community know very well, we actually heard from a partner this week that the bigger the institution is, the greater the need for privacy. And I think that that's really fascinating, because the bigger the bank is, the bigger the financial institution, the greater the need for privacy. So there's a massive demand for privacy. And so like you have to evaluate these two things. One of them is growing astronomically, and one is shifting, changing, struggling. The project itself, the technology has been designed to support and serve the thing that is building, growing, thriving. Jahaf, can you just touch on how this change in the landscape really factored into these decisions and the focus to capture this sort of changing of the tide?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, COTI is literally in the best position of any protocol in the world to serve the demand for institutional and general purpose privacy. The best position. And there's a lot of conversation about COTI. I'm not talking just about, the people who kept retweeting the CoinGecko. I did the CoinGecko thing there was more chatter about COTI one of the days, more chatter about COTI than on Bitcoin, which says a lot both on COTI but also on the market at this point. No, I'm not just talking about this. I'm talking about some deep currents in the market, and which kind of led to probably what we see. And people get this, and so the demand for COTI is going to grow dramatically because of what we do. And as you've mentioned, and obviously very aware of these conversations, and part of what we do right now is kind of work closely with the major L1s of the world, and with them we kind of able to capture the demand from the best institutions of our world, right? So on one hand, this opportunity is there, right? And it's huge, and we are very well positioned to capture it. But doing so will take all of our focus and resources. And ultimately, there are only so many resources available, especially in this market, and we have to focus on the opportunity and kind of like use our resources the best way for growth and expansion of the protocol. And over time, this will of course improve tokenomics and everything that people actually want, right? But focus is not just about, hey, this is an amazing opportunity and I'm going to focus on that. This part everybody understands. You're not an amazing manager if you kind of like understand what's the best opportunity and focus on that. Yes, that's great, but that's B. I think, right? A is, I know that this is the best opportunity, but I also know that now it means that I will have to not do B and C. Even though people will be hurt by this short term. But I have to do this, right? So, ultimately paying rewards out of token distribution into a thin market dilutes everyone. People get that. So it also has a short-term negative effect. And we want to redirect all of our focus, energy, engineering into what will be fee generating, supply burning usage, and that will strengthen the network for everyone long term. So the decision was made to let's do privacy for institutions immediately because the opportunity is great, is there, it's great, and with privacy on demand we can do that. But also let's not do other things. And it's simple. Any program that distributes rewards is being paused. Not just because of the rewards, but also because of the engineering focus that it takes. And we'll just do any initiative that adds value, grows adoption and utility, and that will get our full attention. And everything changes, right? The technology and the industry is constantly changing and it evolves. And a lot of the things that we do now, we do because this was the right thing to do, throughout the years of Web3, right? But this has changed as well. And I think we've made it this far, and for almost a decade now in crypto, and we've made it this far. I know, but we did it because we evolved, and because we plan on continuing to do so. So I think COTI is in a much better position than many projects out there, as there's a real demand for privacy. And we are going to focus completely about it, and we're going to chase this opportunity and not chase other things.
Yeah, I think that was well said. And I was thinking about this too, like, you think about Facebook and Meta investing like whatever gargantuan amount of money. I mean, it was tens of billions, it's not $100 billion on like the metaverse, right? Yeah. Which and you think about the amount of billions of dollars that Apple put on their VR goggles. These are just very more recent, proximity bias examples. But you can look at, the maybe a closer example would be like the back in the day we had this social media platform called Vine that people invested. They built brands. They had all these followers. Yes. It was like this big first thing. They put so much into that, and then boom, it was gone. I mean, there was back in the day where we all had Tumblrs, and then it was gone. And what's the difference is, Meta made the change. They're still here because they had to make that hard decision. That decision affected a lot of people. It actually affected a whole bunch of startups that were building towards their metaverse. It was an entire ecosystem. Right. And
what about, people that make correlation, people that hold Meta shares, right, in the market? Like probably more people hold Meta shares than hold COTI. they can say why did the company wasted so much money on something that it is now abandoning, right? And yes, yeah, that's a fair question. But would you rather it continue to do so?
Right.
Yes, we're not. There's some, and of course you can't even blame Mark Zuckerberg or the Meta management for, trying the metaverse. It seemed very appealing back then. They're not stupid, right?
Yeah.
But it failed, right?
Yeah.
So I think I don't think the treasury. I don't think it failed, but if we will continue to do that, then we will fail in other places, and those places will matter more.
Yeah.
So this is why we're doing what we're doing.
Yeah, exactly. And I think crypto makes it so much harder in a way because people have a different kind of very close proximity to like skin in the game, right? Like, it's very much like, I don't know. People in crypto have a different level of relationship to the things that they hold than people who hold stocks, right? Like stocks feel much more far removed. You feel kind of out of touch with it. You just sort of read the report, but in crypto you feel entrenched, which makes it even harder. But at the same time, right? Like you would think that, Meta, Mark Zuckerberg has got more money than God. Why would he kill the metaverse? Well, it's because he can't split the attention. That's like, it's not just the value cost, it's the attention cost, it's the engineering cost, it's the talent cost. You can't split the attention. And that's why these initiatives have to change a lot. It's a reason why, Meta's all in on AI and their stock is still worth $1 trillion+ or whatever it is. And Snapchat is struggling because of the choices that they make. So like, these are things that have to be done. And technology is moving so fast these days. And I think the other piece to this is just about timing is everything. And clearly the timing to capitalize on enterprise and institutional privacy is like right now.
Right now.
It's right now. It's not, it literally, you couldn't make headway 6 months ago the way that you can now, but this is the moment to strike. And that means that it doesn't make sense. So let's go through some of these announcements and some of these things. I think obviously the one that's most impactful, most recent is Treasury, right? The announcement is that the Treasury is essentially going on pause on August 18th, next week. And it's pretty straightforward. Like users can withdraw now, get their tokens, get their rewards. But let's be candid. There's some delays in rewards. There's stuck transactions. Users have been having issues. And so we wanted to make sure that no one had to worry, which is essentially you don't have to do anything. The rewards, the tokens, they're going to be sent all back to your wallet. Everything is going back to your wallet. You don't actually have to feel hurried or rushed. There's not a rug pull here. You're going to get all of your tokens and assets back. If you are still holding V1, we put announcements out for over a year now on the migration of V1. But if you do by chance still hold V1 in the Treasury, you are one of the people that do need to take an action. And there's instructions in our blog. Make sure you do that. I just want to emphasize that. But yeah, I think that's all clear. Maybe, Shahaf, you could share a little bit more on why this choice regarding the Treasury.
Sure. So a few things. First of all, it's clear that the Treasury needs to be rebuilt entirely. It's not a patch. It's not a fix. Like we've done so many of these throughout the years. It's not enough. And I've said it myself more than once. And we've actually laid out the plan for it. And we wrote a white paper about this, about how it will be part of the node ecosystem. Like the plan is there. We know exactly how we want to build this. We know it will be much better. However, if we do that, it means that any resource that we put towards rebuilding the Treasury, right? And we want to, put our best engineers there, right? We don't want another a clunky Treasury, right? So, but if any asset that we put there, any bright engineer, this resource is now not being put on building our privacy with our partners. Okay, so it's this or that. We can't do both. Okay, forget about let's just hire 100 engineers. It's not an option. Makes no sense. And if I could hire 100 bright people, I would put them immediately on privacy for institutions with our partners, right? So leaving the treasury as is not an option. And additionally, it adds to token rewards dilution into this thin market that's people that are not part of the treasury have mentioned more than once. So I think this decision is clear, right? And while it may feel sudden, actually there is no easy way to do it, right? And since all tokens and rewards are being returned to everyone without incurring any fee, any early revolving, none of that, it's actually best to just wrap it up. Let's say that I would announce that we will pause treasury in October. What would be different? Nothing will be different other than us needing to put more engineers on it and trying to fix everything there and holding it together for a few more months. But the outcome would be quite the same. So it is overnight, even though internally we've discussed this quite a lot, because there's no other way to do it. And I think anything else would be counterproductive. So this was the decision about treasury. I am saying it's paused and not terminated because it's paused and not terminated. If we'll have some more bandwidth, then we'll just circle back to the plan we have in place and rebuild Treasury V2, which will be a lot better. But not right now. I don't know when, but the decision is made because long term it's better to focus on privacy. Doesn't mean that it is terminated. It is paused.
That makes sense. I think that makes a lot of sense, especially if we're just going to be sending it back to everybody's wallet. Just let's just take care of it, right?
Yeah.
Let's discuss the one that I think has had the biggest impact this week, which is COTI, right? So obviously this was used as an APY boost for the treasury. With the treasury being put on pause, there's a lot of questions surrounding its future. Let's just touch on that and what can we clarify there?
Yeah. Well, first of all, that I know that this is a big one for the community and for the loyal community, and it's a painful one. And the reality is that there's no easy way to solve it, including everything that people mentioned. Of course, we thought about this, fixed swaps, etc. It opens up a cascade of other issues and opportunities for bad actors. When it comes to fixed swaps, just think about the arbitrage opportunities that it may create and all of that. And it also means, again, putting some more engineering into this to kind of build something that can allow for fixed swaps. So no, this is difficult. We are considering the future of COTI. It feels like the community has already decided from the looks of it, and we're taking that into consideration. But I don't know, right now what will be the future of COTI and how we can include it in the future of our ecosystem. We're not terminating it. And, the team will ensure that there's plenty of liquidity on Bancor for swaps. If that's the choice that people make, we will take care of it and we'll make sure that it's there. But I think people kind of made a decision about what will happen with COTI a bit too fast. But again, not making promises. COTI was, tightly coupled with the treasury. But because we haven't said the last word about treasury, obviously we can't say anything about COTI, and we had other ideas for COTI as well. So it is confusing. I don't have an immediate solution, to be honest. So in the meantime, the best that we can do is kind of like make sure that the liquidity is there for those who don't want to be part of the COTI future. And we just have to wait and see.
Yeah, I think that's clear, and we've all been very close to the community in this process and very aware of everyone's concerns. So yeah, we'll see from here. Let's talk about another one that obviously Nodes v2. For some of our core community, they had tested this a little bit in the new version. They'd gotten their hands on it. There was some excitement about this. This was obviously a point of discussion in our previous live streams. But while this one was quite highly anticipated, I think there's a pretty good reason and pretty obvious one why it was put on pause. But let's break this one down too.
Yeah. Nodes is, to be honest, Nodes v2 is ready to go, right? As you know, we were kind of like a week away from launching it. When I realized I can kind of like looking, realistically into the market and where we stand, and I said that this needs to go on pause, right? It's an amazing thing. It is built beautifully. There are, probably about 20 people from the COTI community that have actually tested Nodes and play with it, and they can kind of like vouch for it being real. But again, two things. First is developer resources, and the other one is token dilution. Nodes is by definition an engineering-heavy project, and even though most of the development was all of the development was done, there's still significant maintenance, right? If something fails, that I want my best people fixing it immediately. And if you launch it now, you would. It would mean that I need to put my best people on alert to fix things if they fail, and technologies fail all the time. That's what they do. So that's one thing. And the other one is again, it means a heavy monthly distribution of tokens into thin liquidity in the market. So it's the wrong moment for Nodes v2. And when conditions are right, then by all means, it's not right. This moment. Again, focus and dilution. And people have been talking about dilution for quite a while, right? We've been listening, and we know that, right? So we need to put this on pause as well for all the good reasons. We needed to put treasury and other things on pause.
Yeah,
and earn.
Right. Yeah, I think earn is another one, right? So I think people have the misunderstanding that earn is just pause right now, or it's going to be paused at the same time as treasury. Look, there's a countdown there. It shows you exactly when the season ends. When the season ends, it's going on pause. That's it for a while. You'll be able to claim your rewards. That's a wrap. But again, there's a couple reasons, and I can touch on this one, which is one, Web3 traffic and the nature of like kind of incentivized quest-oriented campaigns are just not what is currently the right move for projects. It's not, as someone at the very involved in Web3 marketing and growth, this is not ideal. One, it's just not what it used to be, right? There was a whole culture and ecosystem that was very vibrant around this, but it's changed. And I think the other thing that's very obvious to everyone is it's just dilutive to tokens and distributes quite a bit of rewards passively for users who are already in, when the ability to attract new users from these campaigns across the entire ecosystem has gone down a lot. So I think this one makes a lot of sense to also go on pause at the end of the season. You guys still have a little bit of time. I think it's like a little over 2 months to make the most of it. But any additional thoughts on earn?
Yeah, no, I agree. COTI Earn served its purpose for sure, and it generated great activity and growth. But it's part of a different stage of the cycle, and that part of the cycle is over. And now we need to focus on higher impact work all the time again, while addressing the dilution concerns.
Yeah, and I think this kind of brings us to the token, right? I think everyone tuning in should see the trend here. It's like there's a very clear delineation. If it's dilution and distribution, it's going on pause. If it's focus and orientation towards growth of the actual ecosystem, the protocol, and the token, it's getting the full attention. So talk a little bit about like how you kind of foresee this influencing the token over the long tail, and maybe treating this refined focus as an opportunity to improve tokenomics.
Sure. So yeah, again, thinking about supply and demand, right? COTI has distributed millions in COTI rewards to holders throughout the years, right? But also through Earn, COTI Treasury, community campaigns, and so on and so forth. And we had more plans, as you know. So I think we've been constantly investing in big parts of the COTI community, those who were involved with this campaign. I think right now the best that we can do for the COTI community, like the highest return investment we can make for every holder, is actually the privacy ecosystem and the token itself behind it. It means that we now need to drive real adoption, growth, and utility. And as I've said, like by working with the biggest chains of our world and adding more chains, it means that we will add more usage that will immediately reflect on the COTI chain, right? So it means greater demand, more burns, and real utility will replace subsidized rewards. That's it. I think that's the bottom line, and this is why we've taken the decisions that we did. And I think if people can see through the immediate pain and, hey, I had APY, hey, GCOTI, all of that, long term, it's better. And I think people got a glimpse. Look, there's a lot of things that are happening behind the scenes. And, sometimes you see a glimpse of it, like you've seen recently. And this is what it means that, if we're doing the right things, then we become attractive to the right people. And I think this is what people should put in their minds and kind of like focus on that. That will serve them, much more than the next incentive, without ignoring the fact that it hurts short term.
Yeah, I think that's really clear. And then I think this brings us, so we've been gathering up everybody's questions. We're also monitoring questions live over the past several days since we made this announcement. I think what you just shared rolls really good into our next question, which is this big question around the 58% community allocation in token emissions. Where did those go now? What's happening with those allocation? This is something that is a bit top of a lot of the core community's mind who tracks this stuff really close. Can you just respond to that piece so we can answer this question?
Yeah. I'd like to be cynical to begin with, and I think I can be cynical because people are so cynical towards me on X. Like I can do that every now and then. It's my stream, damn it. Look, people will be like, hey, why do you spend all these tokens on these incentives and all that? You dilute it and then you pause, and people are like, hey, why do you hold all of these tokens right now, right? Guys, look, tokens are minted according to the algorithm embedded in the protocol. This will not change, right? This is the same mechanism reflected in CMC and then circulating supply figures. So this process does not change, right?
It's programmatic.
It's programmatic, right? However, how we utilize it does change. And I am not inclined to spend all this COTI just because it's there. And it's still there, right? And over the past year, right, there were far fewer rewards that were distributed from the vested and community allocation than the theoretical schedule. And the distribution was limited primarily to earn and treasury participants, right? We tokens are that are minted they're not distributed automatically as rewards because they are there. It's obviously not the right thing to do. And when the time is right, and the market is right, and the opportunity is there, then we will make the best use of it. And I think we can all agree that if there's no good reason to spend COTI, then by all means, let's not spend it. Let's keep it there, right? And everybody can see it there, and wait. So this is what we have been doing. This is what we're doing right now. This is what we'll continue to do. And this is kind of like what it means to run this thing. And I hope that clears it.
Yeah, I think that's clear. Like, these tokens come in via programmatic, they're algorithmic, and if there's not a distribution channel for them, they sit. You guys can track all that. Yeah. So we've addressed this one, but this is just like, why only 7 days when it comes to the Treasury announcement? Guys, we covered this, it's very clear. It's because you are going to get all of your tokens and rewards back sent to your wallet that you've connected automatically. So it makes the most sense to not prolong it, not create more confusion, not create more, community frustration with issues of stuck transactions. We're going to take care of it on our end.
And as you know, internally I said 48 hours. Like, what's the point? It's going back to everyone. There's no and the greater COTI management told me, let's give people time to kind of like do this themselves. And I said, but why? It's the same thing. Like, why do they need to do this? And we've settled on a week. But to be honest, I don't get it. It's the faster we can kind of like, okay, guys, things have changed. Let's put this behind us now. Then we're creating some alternatives to this specific thing with the KuCoin staking, which I know is limited and not everybody can do it. I know, but let's do that and kind of like immediately move on to the next thing that will improve everybody's lives, all COTI holders' lives, faster. Let's just do it. There's no point in kind of like dwelling in this right now. And I think the longer it is, the longer the frustration, which will change over time. But but this is why not more than a week.
Yeah, great question. So another question we got, which was, why sudden? I think we touched on this too, but really, like, if with the sudden change, can you share anything in terms of confidence in COTI's financial future? It was very clear in the article that this, makes the organization well positioned for a long period to come. But naturally, with sudden changes, people get a little concerned. They feathers get ruffled, and as a result, we don't want unnecessary FUD to come out of this. It's not necessary. So can you just address this directly?
Yeah. Well, first off, of course, COTI is okay, and we're doing these changes because we care and not because we don't care and have abandoned the project. So we're clear. And it's not sudden changes. We've been reflecting on this for quite a while now, and obviously, it's not built in a way, where everything becomes a big debate, and etc. And because you can't really, and it always failed to run a fast-moving tech company, a fast-moving startup, if you may, with long debates. And again, I know people always have their idea. Everybody can run this better, of course. But to be honest, we've been talking about this for quite a while. We've been taking advice from a lot of people, and it was time to take the rough decision, and then people hear about it, and but it's not really sudden. It's not what I want to say. It is sudden in many ways, but it's not an impulse. It's not like I woke up one morning and I said, let's pause this treasury. Of course not. So And yeah, you've talked about this enough, I guess.
Yeah, and I can attest that this wasn't some big scramble behind the scenes. This was a methodical, thought out process to refine things, right? Yeah. So you mentioned KuCoin staking, and I think that this is something that's worth touching on too, which is I actually think that this was a neat option, basically, right? Like, okay, the treasury is stopping, but if users do want to keep staking, at least have some kind of route for them to do so. Obviously, the rate is less. That's actually a good thing towards the initiatives that we're trying to do, and this is kind of on a rolling basis, and it gives us an opportunity to partner with KuCoin, get the token to even more exposure and marketing initiatives, which is great. But can you just touch on this and why this was something that was implemented?
Yeah, look, KuCoin is kind of like the natural option. They support V2, obviously, and we wanted to give some people an outlet. I think if it felt wrong to just do ERC20 staking on some other exchange, to be honest. But we hear the demand for on-chain staking and for other jurisdictions that KuCoin currently doesn't support. And by the way, I think from what I get from KuCoin, the EU lack of support is temporary and it will be fixed. I don't know. I can't really speak for KuCoin. But we wanted to give the people an outlet while opening up some more marketing opportunities with them. So KuCoin was the choice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it makes sense. But yeah, the team is all well aware that not everyone can access it, right? So, but for those that can, it's a nice opportunity, as well as a nice opportunity for other people to join in. And like Shaf said, taking everyone's interest into mind and future considerations. One thing that we've gotten, it was like in the announcement, there's quite a few mentions of pause, right? Treasury's going on pause, Nodes is going on pause. This was a polite question in a polite way, but is pause just a polite word for shutdown? What does that mean, pause, and could you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, well, no means no, and pause means pause, right? Pause means resources are pointed right now at the highest impact work. When we have bandwidth, we can revisit this, and the first two things that we will revisit will be both Treasury and Nodes V2. So that's for future consideration, but I'm not going to guesstimate when that is. Let's say we're doing privacy on demand, we're doing this with this L1, it goes very well, and then we have 3 other L1s that want to work with us, then it means that this now becomes the highest impact work that we can do, right? So I think it will probably mean that we're doing very well if we continue to focus on privacy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We're beginning this question quite a bit, which is just about the bridge. I just want to touch on this real quickly. I want to just explain. So most of you have seen the crazy price volatility on the token in the past couple of weeks. It's no surprise. It got everybody's attention. The actual social traffic, fun fact, the social traffic on all things COTI since has been the craziest, I think, since we started really tracking the data, since I've been here by far. The actual website was up 500% in visitors. The social threads were just skyrocketing. There was certain thousands of accounts posting. I mean, this was pretty remarkable. All of this because the world of crypto is not flush with liquidity right now, creates arbitrage issues across centralized exchanges, DEX exchanges, when things move this crazy. And that arbitrage led to the bridge just getting absolutely hammered. Absolutely hammered. So it's no secret. This is what's going on. The team's been working to scale the bridge and are going to continue to work to process transactions. This will calm down. Everyone will get their bridge transactions refunded or settled. The team will get it all sorted. So we thank everyone's patience for this. It was a pretty significant movement that created quite the situation. The team's working to resolve it and get everyone in good standing. So I just wanted to address that directly so everyone knows. Please be patient. It will. I think it's just the bridge is like a day or two behind now. It's good. They'll catch it up. So just hang tight. It'll get solved. Okay. Great.
It's also, by the way, it obviously found its way kind of like to my top priority to kind of like, again, strategize about liquidity, ERC20, V2, bridge scalability, etc. We haven't seen these problems for quite a few years now. This used to be a problem, by the way, a few years ago. Some will remember. And I thought we had resolved it, and we did, but for kind of like for a certain scale, we did, not for the scale that we recently faced. So it's now time to kind of like think about what's next for it and how we can fix it. And it's an internal discussion that is going on right now.
Makes sense. It was a pretty insane scale. I mean, this was really wild. Yeah. So there's another question that's just centered around like supply, and some of these systems out there that document supply. Could you just touch on like the concerns on what Ethereum shows and what the supply should be? Just address that.
Yes, I could, and this goes kind of like way before your tenure, right? Yeah. So I think about 8 years ago we've launched the bridge.
Yeah, way before
most people got even interested in crypto. Closer to the Bitcoin white paper than what we are right now. And when we built the bridge, it was there to bridge between V1, which was DAG based, to Ethereum, right? And the thing with how V1 and DAGs were there is that you could not burn tokens, right? And overall technologies were different back then. So the way the bridge was built, like two major decisions. One, you cannot burn tokens, and the other one is that each new transaction creates a new address, because we didn't want to create like a honeypot with a lot of tokens that will become attractive to hackers. And I think that was a wise decision back then, because bridge wasn't hacked. The fact that you can't burn tokens, so let me just run you through one token, right? So let's say you had a V1 token, right? You sent it to the bridge. This V1 was locked, and now an COTI ERC20 was created. So right now there are two COTI tokens in existence, but only one is circulating, right? The economical reality is that there is one COTI out there. Okay. Now you sent back your COTI ERC20 to the bridge. So and got your V1 released. So there are still two COTI tokens, but only one is circulating, right?
Right.
So obviously this kind of like inflates the amount of minted tokens, but it doesn't change the circulating supply. Mm-hmm. Now, this is enough to kind of like explain why what minted supply actually tracks is the amount of bridge transactions throughout time and not economically circulating supply. But it gets even more complicated because let's say now you've sent V1 to the bridge again, we will mint an ERC20 again. The first one is locked out there. It's not circulating, it's a ghost. But right now, if you check you will see 3 COTI tokens, but the reality is only one is circulating. Okay, so there's no point in looking on the amount of minted ERC20 tokens when so many of them are locked on bridge addresses. And this has always been a confusion. I understand why it is confusion, but the reality is that circulating supply is what you see on CMC and CoinGecko, with maybe some lag to how fast they track. So I hope that clears it. And what I'm telling you right now is not news. It has been disclosed and described so many times. But I think because of how the bridge was built, we owe this explanation each and every time. So I hope people get it.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. It was good education for me, a little historic evidence as well.
Yes.
Okay. This is a big question that we've been getting, and I'll take this one, which is, when will you announce the top L1 partner that was mentioned in Shahaf's video when he made it? It's obviously been alluded to. It's been leaked in the community. You guys know the deal. But look, the reality is, what's really important for us is that everything is aligned and it's done properly. There's a big opportunity here for a lot of exposure that requires a tremendous amount of planning. It also requires a tremendous amount of coordination, and also just certain things that have to be checked off the list on the critical path that take time. So it's not a bad thing that certain things get out there. You can dig around and discover things in dev docs, etc. But what we don't want to do is, there's a much broader opportunity with much more exposure. And so, look, you can figure things out if you take a close look. But for official things, let us take the official time it takes to do those things properly and make the most of it, which is the goal. Make the most of it. And so we're getting there. We're moving right down the track. Things are looking really good, and we'll keep you updated for sure, and excited for that. All right, cool. I think the last question is just, we've really touched on it already, to be honest, but maybe just revisiting it again. How does this affect tokenomics looking ahead? Maybe just one more quick summary, because I do think that ultimately the best thing that can happen for the net majority of the community is a positive focus being put on the token itself, and in terms of utility growth. So yeah, let's just touch on that one more time.
Sure. So again, with Treasury earned nodes B2 pause, new rewards emission from those programs, either stopped or reduced dramatically. So this reduces the flow of newly minted tokens into the market. And now our focus is on growing real utility and demand through enterprise and institutional privacy adoption, the privacy on demand expansion, L1 partnerships that you've mentioned, and fee-driven activities that will actually move the needle. And I think, let's not play games. This is the right thing to do, and this is what we are, committed to doing. To be honest, I read some of the questions that people say, why this sudden shift? It's not even a shift. It's not even a focus shift. The focus was on privacy all the time, but it's now, the realization is that focus also means eliminating other things. So, we are taking on two big things. One is dilution, and the other one is resources and where we put our attention in. And I'm absolutely certain that this is the best thing for COTI holders long term, or even medium term, and probably even short term. To be honest,
right?
As we've seen.
I mean, I think the other piece of this is that privacy has obviously been a running conversation here for a while, but the opportunity to actually build it with the big players just presented itself in the last like 3 to 6 months. Like this is on the edge of where all of this big institutional effort is to tokenize trillions. So this is exactly where it is. But yeah, Shahaf, I think we're getting to the rounding out the hour here. Any final thoughts for the community so we can close things out?
Yeah, I'm looking into questions that are in the chat.
Sure.
One thing is how to cook soup, as like to the point where you're not just cynical and is that if this is a hard pivot from V2, I think this is like 100% focus on V2. This is not
Right.
V3. This is exactly the focus on V2. Like how does anything else is more V2 than focusing on privacy. So it feels like you're pretty hurt, but I sense that you understand that what we do is the focus on V2 and not the other way around. Someone asked if we were going to COTI V3. No, absolutely not. Exactly wrong. We're going to this. Someone asked us to pump to 30 cents right now. So I leave this to others. When will the bridge start to process the transactions at the same day? This is like what it did for many years now. And I think we touched that right now. Please explain 58% community tokens. I think we did, right? If not, then there's probably a transcript. People want the big news, so I think they've alluded to that. Move on. Answer some questions instead of keep talking like you always do. Here I am. Why are we not starting with the main concerns of the community first? I don't know. This is the order we did it, and here we are.
Yeah. This is the key. You got to be able to put out information, let it be digest, and then be able to answer questions and address it. There's no right way, easy way to communicate this stuff.
Yeah. Plus, look, if you don't need to sit there for the entire hour, you can just read the transcript later and kind of like read it from the end if you prefer it. Yeah. I don't know. Look, some people again are asking, like, are we abandoning the community? So I'd like to read. I know we've answered that, but I'd like to reiterate. And kind of like some people wrote it, right? So I feel kind of like okay with stating the same thing. The fact that some parts of the community have rightfully enjoyed initiatives that gave them COTI for free is okay. But the greater good right now is pausing that and focusing on what drives utility, and utility will drive the demand for COTI, and we saw a glimpse of what that means recently. So this is what's right for the community. Okay? So this is what we do.
Got a question in terms of why do you choose to drop the news via Telegram on X rather than this first? It's because it's very difficult to verbally communicate all of the details in these things. You really need to lay it out and make sure that it's very clear to the end user, that they can grab it, that they can share it. To drop that kind of news conversationally, we might miss a nuance, we might miss something. It's really important to be able to lay out all of that information and then allow the process for digestion to happen, and then address all the different questions, maybe things that we anticipated or didn't anticipate. So ultimately, like we said, there's just no easy way to do this. it's going to be a shock regardless. It's really important that the details are as clear as possible for everyone to be informed. That's what's most important.
Okay, a lot of things here, but again, I'm trying to not repeat myself.
Sure.
Yeah, bridge again. Bridge normally works the same day, same hour, usually, and it will be that again soon. Yeah, I think it's other than some renting, which I get.
Sure.
I think. Yeah, and again, I'm happy to see that a lot of people do get it with what they say and write. And I guess it's not like, again, leadership means taking some not popular decisions, and I think because people are so vocal about this right now, people that do understand why we do what we do feel kind of like I'm not gonna. It's not the right time to kind of like say I get it, and I know why people do that, right? But here in the private messages, they actually get it.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we've covered. Did we miss something?
I mean, I think from everything that I've gathered, I think we've covered just about everything. I think ultimately, some of it, if you feel like it was unclear, go ahead and just watch it again. Take a look. Re-listen. And if you have follow-up questions, then let us know. Send us messages, drop it in the channels, comment under the stream, and we'll look at those and work on providing answers to those as well. But ultimately, it's a great opportunity. The ability for privacy to actually be built and used is in a very unique situation, and I'm glad that this is the focus. So,
yeah. And look, for closing, I'd say that there's a lot of interest around COTI right now, from kind of like deep within the market. And for us, it just means that it's time to get going, and we'll just be laser focused on what's right and what will move the needle for everyone. There is no, we're in it together. Like there's no, like my future depends a lot on COTI's success, much more than it is for, I dare say, any community member. Okay, so I have all the right intentions to making sure that COTI succeeds, and we have a great team, and we'll make it work, and you'll see.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank everyone for tuning in today. I think there was all sorts of great insight here, a lot of clarity, and appreciate Shahaf, you taking the time to dig into all of this and break it all down with the community. Look, guys, this isn't the end. We're going to do plenty more live streams. We'll cover more questions. There's lots to happen and go from here. And I'm really looking forward to some of these big announcements that we got coming up. So stay tuned, guys. Stay COTI, and we'll catch you on the next one.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Let me just get rid of this here. All right, Soren, how's it going, man? How was that? How'd we do?
Well, there was a lot. There was a lot in there, and quite a lot to unpack. Some I was quite happy about, and one or two things that I was less happy about. It's in the nature of these things, yeah. You're not going to find one single person who's happy with every single aspect of this, and you're not going to find anyone who's totally unhappy about every single aspect of it. So I think we all have the things about it that we like. We all want the COTI token price to appreciate and the project to get recognized and all this stuff. But there are also things that we as community members have invested a lot of time in, and now they don't, let's not say they don't exist, they are paused.
Yeah. That whole thing about the community deciding what happens with G-COTI, I mean, it's a governance token after all. So, I mean, if the community really wanted to decide, we could have voted about it.
We could have exactly voted about it.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't looked at the volume. I haven't compared it to the on-chain, metrics, but I mean, that price decline could come from very few holders, right? I don't know if that was an accurate depiction of the community deciding. I mean, traders are going to trade, right? And price action is going to happen. I'm assuming that, when he said that, he was talking about price action and what happened. But,
well,
this is what I'm stuck on, right? I mean, everything else is a business decision, but like, for me, it was always like G-COTI was for the people who followed the closest, who were really, like, if you're really connected and you really believe, then you're going to go 1-to-1. I mean, we talked about being 1-to-1, getting the APY and everything, and I'm fine with the treasury, whatever. Like, I get it, but
no,
sorry,
100%. And in terms of, I mean, you can't look at the chart for the last 48 hours and say, see, I told you, hold this and don't do that, and the price will appreciate. Yeah. You just can't, because quite frankly, nothing has halted yet. Yeah. The treasury, the staking has lost 25 million COTI last time I checked. That has been taken out, obviously, because we've been greens ever since the announcement. Most people have just taken it out and not sold it. Anyway, let's let that all play out over the next few weeks. That bit is not, I wouldn't say it's not important, but that bit will take care of itself, if you know what I mean. Yeah. One of the things that there's two things. Let me tell you one thing I was not happy with. When announcements like this come out, people are going to knee-jerk react. Because we're so used to scams and rug pulls and everything else. And unless you've been in this community for a very long time and knows that COTI are basically, they're not rug pullers. So I'm going to put that out there. They're not. But when they come out with announcements like this, there are people who are going to knee-jerk react and sell their G-COTI. Yeah. And I just want to make very clear that contrary to what Shahab said, there has been no community decision whatsoever about the value of G-COTI going forward. We've all had questions about it. Nobody's made up their mind. I think that was an unfair way to characterize it. I wish he hadn't done that. Yeah. So that's one part.
And tell us if I'm wrong. If we're wrong, light up the comments. But
yeah, absolutely. We have our opinions on this, and you and I are not even going to be in 100% agreement on all of this. The other bit that I'm a little bit, I wouldn't say concerned about it, but I would like to see some proper solutions on it. Is I understand they're not going to change the tokenomics. It's all built into the protocol and all this. I get the technical explanations around that. But if I may put this in a historical context, 12 months ago, or not 12 months ago, maybe 8 months ago, we were given the same transparency speech, and we were told that we were going to be given the full details on wallets and what they were doing, so people who are interested in these things can go and follow all these things. Yeah. and we didn't get any of it. Yeah. Now, I get that this can, be a tricky thing to build, and we don't want to spend valuable dev time on it. So I want to suggest that okay, we'll take it on. We will of course trust that these tokens are going to be spent at the appropriate time and be spent wisely. And we're talking about the 58% now. But give us the information we need and let us find 1 or 2 community members. And I'm looking at you, Tracer, and I'm looking at the kid, Steph. Build us a flippant dashboard where people can follow this. It would be a great community resource, and let us follow it. Yeah. So every time somebody asks questions about this, because from now on, every time there's a red candle, every single time there's a red candle, it'll be the team is selling of the 58%. You can almost write the script for this. Yeah. So we're gonna have to spend hours and hours and hours defending something with no real evidence to back it up, because we don't have enough visibility into wallets. Yeah. But give us the tools, we will build it. You don't have, COTI, to spend your dev time on this. Let us build it. You can audit, you can check, you can do, you can check it up and do what you need to do. But let us find the people to build it.
So you want a list of wallets, is what you're saying, yeah?
Well, I want the information that we need so we can track these things, because I tell you now, and you can take it to the bank, and this will be my most accurate prediction since Timo. Since the existence of Timo Oracle, this will be my most accurate prediction. Every red candle is going to get blamed on the 58%, and we will have no way. We will have to sit there and take it and not comment on it, because there's no way we can defend it when we don't know for sure. Yeah, and it's not that I trust Shahab with my life, no problem. Yeah, I trust the guy. I've been around long enough. He's about as honest as it gets in this space. And he wouldn't have been around since 2017 if he was any less than that. Yeah, I think that's obvious. But give us the tools so we can so we can say to people who fought and complain about these things, hey, go have a look. Yeah, this is the whole tokenomic situation. Go follow it yourself.
Question from Eli. No, I was at work when I found out the focus and plans. I didn't know anything. Did you, Soren?
No,
I mean, I was trading COTI 3 hours before this. Literally, like I said, I hit a treasury milestone. I was like, oh, I got to top this up. I was on Carbon DeFi, trading rewards for COTI so I could, have my ratio. I do have a COTI bag but not, yeah. Anyways.
And let me add to that. We are on the same timeline as everyone else. And we have been on the same timeline as everyone else, by and large, since the Weep Haddy incident a year ago. Yeah. We have not been in the inner circle since those documents were stolen and published. Yeah. And that's just a fact. It's regrettable, but it's the way it is. Yeah. We're grown-ups, we'll deal with it, and we can still fulfill our community-facing duties without having access to information that you guys don't have access to. So just to be clear, we have no prior knowledge of any of this. We're on the same timeline as everyone else. And that goes for all the future announcements as well. We don't know anything more than you guys know if you've been a regular follower in the Telegram groups. You all know what's coming.
I'm sure, like me, Soren, you were monitoring, the comments on COTI's stream. I was monitoring the comments on our stream. I was watching Telegram, and it was pretty interesting to see all the different sentiments there. Saw a few people saying something to the effect of like they're I don't believe that G-COTI will just be dropped. They will create another app or, some kind of, governance to give it some usage in the future. And yeah, who knows? But I mean, like for me, it's too late. I've got it. I'm gonna hold on to it, and maybe I'll have some voting power. Like I don't know, right? Like it's too late for me. It's too late for me.
Yeah. First of all, it's too late for you. But also on number two, it is. I am fairly certain, and I'm being slightly sarcastic here. I'm fairly certain that whatever governance initiatives come in the future, you're not going to need 500,000 G-COTI to take part in it. Yeah, and I'm reasonably confident on that part, Tracer. Yeah, I think we agree on that. Yeah. So no, this has hurt a lot of people with G-COTI, and as we started out before the before that Shahaf and Matteo thing started. If they execute and we get a proper appreciation in the token price, the COTI token price, that'll be soothing for everyone, including those that got stung a little bit by or a lot by the G-COTI thing.
Do you see a world where COTI has more bandwidth, to quote Shahaf, where the treasury comes back? I'm not going to hold my breath for it. You know what I mean?
The way I listened and read what they were saying was better market conditions. Yeah. These market conditions right now,
so they can afford.
Brutal. Yeah. It's a simple calculus. You can have runway for the next 5 years in terms of money. Yeah. But if you gotta take on a lot of new developers to address your institutional use cases, that's going to drastically reduce your runway. And if you are then at the same time having 5, 6, 7 community facing issues or initiatives that also drain resources, then that runway is going to shrink quite dramatically. And the way this market's been, there's no one who can. You can't put a needle in a map and say, okay, this is when the bull market starts. All this drama could go on for a lot longer. Yeah, this is not retail driven anymore. Retail's gone. There's no retail left in crypto. As Eli used to say, it's the retards and the diehards.
I gotta say something here.
Second group. Yeah.
I gotta say something here. I actually misread this comment at first. I wouldn't have put it up if I saw. I thought he said, "I'm fine with the focus. I'm okay with the way they've approached ambassadors." I thought that's what it said. I thought there was only one but, so I wouldn't have brought this up. So after saying that, like, I wouldn't bring a comment like this up because it's not about us. But so my mistake, whatever. But the 58% supply, I think that even more than G-COTI, this is what's going to, and I know you brought this up already, but I think this is what's going to ring out after the stream. People are going to be, I mean, the people who Shahaf said got hurt along the way or whatever, like everybody is going to be fixated on this 58% supply. And you're right, Soren. I think they do have to do something there. So let's follow it up in a future episode.
No, absolutely, because anyone who goes into Binance or CoinMarketCap or wherever they will see the circulating supply go up steadily towards the maximum 4.9 billion. Yeah, no one outside our little bubble knows that a very large chunk of this is now sat on the sideline, and even though it's in circulation, it's not actually in circulation, but it's been minted, so it's part of the circulating supply. Right or wrong? Yeah. So unless we have a tool that we can point people to and say, guys, let's save all the time of trying to explain this to you. Here is the dashboard. You can see what's actually floating around in the market and what's sat on the sideline waiting for better times. And if there's any big movements in this, you know, like I said before, I trust Shahaf completely when he says things like that. I have no reason to not trust him. Yeah. But if Shahaf, let's just say for the sake of the argument, Shahaf wakes up one morning and says, fucking hell, I'm going to go spend 500 million COTI today. Yeah. That, you know, there's nothing we can do about that, but a dashboard will let everyone know that Shahaf's gone mental. He's woken up and gone mental and spent 500 million COTI. Yeah, of course, it's just an example. He wouldn't do that. But give us what we need, and we will build the tool. Yeah, we will not drain even 1 minute of dev resource for this. But give us at least the opportunity to try and build something so people can keep track of this. Because people outside our bubble don't know any of this and won't understand any of this. And I don't have time to explain this 250 times to various people. I don't, and I know you don't. And Mateo doesn't have the time, or Vlad, or Prince, or any of the others, yeah?
Which literally brings us to, you know, I can't believe we're still talking about this in 2026, but the bridge, like, and that's another problem with, you know, supply transparency and circulating supply transparency, right? So, man, I get what they're saying, that there was the scale was unbelievable for that pump, whatever. Man, I
mean, honestly, I'm not smart enough to comment on this because I'm just not technically deep into these things to the level I need to be. What I will say, two things. I understand the bit of the double COTI, but still being singular COTI. I understand that bit. So COTI that essentially exists twice, but only counts once. I get that part. And most importantly, I get the part that we have never been hacked. Yeah. Which by now, there are literally no protocols out there that can make the same claim, very few at least. Yeah. In fact, the number of hacks is growing every day. So if I had to choose between having a really, really nice, fantastic bridge and getting hacked every 2 days, or an absolute shit bridge that never got hacked, I'd take the second any day of the week. I'd live with the inconvenience. And you know, of course, now that everyone gets their tokens moved out of the treasury into the MetaMask wallet, go use Hyperlane. If you want to bridge things, go use Hyperlane. It's very nice and easy.
By the looks on our faces, we're in the same boat. You guys have to remember, I mean, long before we were ambassadors, we were doing all these things, right? I've been podcasting for almost 4 years now. Like, it's an honorarium, guys. It's not, we don't work for COTI, right? So we are in the same boat. And that's, you know, why we're here. That's what COTI Confidential is. And it was, you know, when it started, it was supposed to be a forum for everybody to come and chat. And then I guess after 3 years, 3 seasons, we just kind of evolved a bit, eh? But yes, we are definitely all in the same boat. Absolutely.
We're all invested in this. And actually, I kind of like the way Shahaf ended this and said, listen, I have as much to win or lose, if not more, than any of you guys. And in a way, he's right. This is his baby. He's been living, breathing, eating, sleeping COTI for the better part of a decade. And of course, he doesn't want to see it fail. Yeah. He has got one of the most stellar reputations of anyone in blockchain. Of course, he is not going to burn that. Yeah. So everyone, please just dispense with all the rug pull stuff, because that's not what this is. Yeah, not in the faintest. It doesn't mean COTI is destined to be fantastic and everything else. But Shahaf's got just as much to lose as we have, and we're all invested in this, and that's why That's why we care. That's why we're, like Tracer said, that's why we're doing these shows. Yeah, we care about it. We've been around since what was the name of that card? Simplex.
What?
We've been around. We've been around
bro.
since Simplex, you know, and Treasury
NFTs. Oh yeah, EMI license. Like, man, it's all rushing back now. This was something that I thought one of the good things that got highlighted today is the fact that we've seen a lot of people, you know, complaining about 8x boosted treasury deposits that were taking all the APY, high APY with 1-to-1, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We could go on and on about that. That's always been under criticism. But one of the things that they kind of mentioned, it wasn't just the APY, right? It wasn't just the selling pressure from that. It was taking resources away from, you know, like not even just building a new treasury, but maintaining the current one and keeping it running. So it's kind of like scrap it all. We'll have less dilution, or we'll have less selling pressure due to the APY, due to the dilution. And then we'll also be able to take those people who are constantly maintaining that off and put it into bigger, better things like, you know, chasing the enterprise adoption. So I thought that was an interesting comment. That made sense to me. Like, you know, it all makes sense almost. I mean, okay, it all makes sense. It just, like Shahaf said, some of you, you know, got hurt. And yes, there are some people definitely got hurt.
It definitely made it all. When you look at the totality of it, it makes sense. When you look at some of the individual components, not all of it makes a lot of sense. Most of it does, but like I said, there's a few issues here that definitely don't make sense. And I was always under the impression that the treasury was in the process of being built. That was clearly not the case. So, okay. Yeah. Yeah, it's you know, the big part of all this for me, and I'll be watching this like a hawk, and I think the community at large will be execution over the next few months.
It got longer this week too, man.
It got longer and grayer. But no, execution will be key now. Because if all this is going to have some meaning, we're going to have to see some execution. Yeah, I don't want to sit here in 6 months and have the same discussion around. We're going to see some execution in Q1 or Q2 next year. You know, and from what they were teasing today, I hopefully shouldn't have to have that discussion in 6 months.
I think for a lot of us, it's just, you know, we're going to be jealous of the people who are entering now and in the future, right? You're looking at where the price is right now and going, you know, if they find this now and they're entering for like 1 cent, 2 cents, I think, you know, people like us are going to be, there's going to be some animus there, right? But it is what it is. I mean, they only have to buy 1 token too now. So, I mean, that's, you know, you know what, all kidding aside, all of this is positive for the future, we hope, right? I mean, it does. We all saw what was happening. We all criticized the, you know, the inflation, like immediately when it went from, you know, 2 billion forecast over 10 years or whatever it was to what it is. I mean, it's too bad that, you know, we're a couple years down the line. Oh, hey, it didn't work. Too bad. Big surprise, whatever. But I guess, you know, we're here now. So I guess if you're still here.
And in a better market, that probably wouldn't, I don't think it would have mattered a lot. Yeah. But we're in a market now where there's, like I said before, retail's gone, liquidity is gone, and then, you know, a lesson for everyone, myself included. These things do matter a lot more. Yeah. selling pressure out of rewards. I've always been of the opinion that yes, there is some selling pressure, but I think people are making too much out of it. And I could still make that argument, but when you then compare it to the total lack of liquidity in the market, I'm probably going to end up looking a fool in that argument. So let's see how all this works out. But my main focus will be on execution, and I would like to start a little campaign for giving us the things we need to build some tools in and around all of this. Yeah, you and Stefanos got fuck all better to do than build these things for us. So get on with it, guys. You're the best builders I know. You guys and Jan and people like that.
That guy doesn't even build anymore, man.
And he lets Rix do it all, and then he goes online and takes the credit. That's what I hear.
I just got a message that the future 58% will be airdropped to the holders of COTI. Not sure if that's a legit message or not. Oh boy! I mean, at least some of you have really good sports about all of this. It's amazing, right?
A little ripping here and there. Never hurt anyone.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I think that's a great idea.
But I think it's important. I think it's important that we give ourselves the tools to do this, because it's going to be a big part of FOD, and it's going to eat just as much of our time going forward as anything else. Yeah. So in order for us to be able to be of any use to the community, we need to be able to shut down some of these things. And this is actually a super critical issue, that we can follow all this. So yeah, give us the tools we need. Yeah. And in fact, I shall not only write about it, I shall also make sure that Amateo and one or two others know about it. And then they can decide whether they think it's a good idea or whether I can go pound sand. But then I can say I've done my part. Yeah, I think it's a good idea, and I think we have all the people we need to build it in a safe and responsible manner. So, yeah, that's sort of my thing.
So, I mean, I guess this is what we're gonna be talking about for the next couple weeks here, at least. But you know, it would be nice for them to turn around and announce some things that we've been waiting for. I mean, that's going to be the best way to make people forget that they got hurt in this. So hopefully they had to do this and made it short. I know some people said short 7 days, whatever. I don't know what's short. Yeah, I mean, rip the Band-Aid off, right? So
I completely agree with Shahaf on this one. Get it done. Get it done fast. Yeah. Just get it out of the way. And let's move on. Yeah, because they are right about one thing. This space moves at absolute lightning speed at the moment, and I tend to very much believe the fact that, and there was one important thing that Amateo said, that 6 months ago they were knocking and knocking and knocking, but couldn't get through a door. Yeah. Now they're getting invited in everywhere. Yeah, that is exactly the sentiment you're seeing. There is more and more stuff getting tokenized. The big boys are steadily getting more and more involved in all of this. And of course, the obvious pressing issue then becomes, how do we become compliant? And, everyone will tell you, yeah, we're compliant. But, at the end of the day, there's very few protocols out there that are programmable, compliant, live, battle tested, covered pretty much all the use cases, albeit on a relatively small scale. That we are so many years ahead of everyone else on this. Yeah. So no, I do get I do get that point that the doors that were not open 6 months ago are now wide open, and they're getting dragged into all sorts of things everywhere. I can imagine that. Yeah.
We need the 1 2. We need Soren's 1 2 3 scenario.
Yeah, it needs to be executed on, and that's not just on COTI. It's also on the people on the other side of the table that needs to be able to take that leap and start investing money and time and resources and do these things. The last thing I want to cover before we let everyone go, Teresa, and this is a technical one. You're going to have to help me with this one. Yeah.
Me?
Yes.
Okay.
And this is right up your backside, or should I say, alley. Notes. Now, nodes. I get that they don't want to waste time and money and resources on nodes. Right? I get that we can, and I get the whole argument. We can wait with that until later. But how is the network going to go from 12,000 to 120 million transactions per day, or 12 million, or whatever the numbers? How is that adoption and activity level going to increase significantly with just a handful of nodes that are run by COTI themselves? I'm not worried about the decentralization part and all that. Is that technically possible? Can you scale from 12,000 to 12 million without adding extra nodes? Is that technically even possible?
Okay. First of all, I don't see any of the, I have no confirmation on this, but I can't see them dropping the OG node operators, right? So there's a handful of those, and then there's a handful of COTI nodes. And right now, we can handle this network no problem. We are definitely in the good. You can also add a node you can add a node in like 15 minutes, less, maybe 5. Yes. So, if things happen, but I also, like back in the day, Huobi had their own nodes, right? We're talking V1, but so I expect those kinds of things will happen. Enterprises will come in, they'll have their own nodes. Exchanges might end up having their own nodes. A lot of people want to see more V2 adoption, or I guess a lot of people want to see V2 being carried by more exchanges. Hopefully that's coming soon. But adding, I get the concern. Right now we are handsomely covered for the foreseeable future. And if things get crazy really fast, bang, 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 we can add
because
a bunch of nodes. And the nodes ecosystem, like, it's there. I've seen it. I've played with it. It exists. If you looked hard enough, you'd be able to find it. Just like people found AVAX, it would be that easy to find the nodes system. So,
because as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't really matter if 100 nodes are run by partners or run by community members. Yeah, don't they still require maintenance? Don't things cock up from time to time? Yeah. Yes, maybe the partners are smart enough; they can figure it all out themselves, and they won't bother COTI with it. I was just a little bit unclear on that. Yeah, because you can't say on one hand we don't need any more nodes, but on the other hand say, yeah, we're out looking, we're going to execute, and we're going to get adoption, and adoption means we're going to go from 12,000 to 12 million transactions per day. That's what has to happen. Yeah. And then the node argument is not just confused me a little bit.
No way a huge player would use our nodes, from Thorsten. That's done by a sequencer. Yeah, correct. Call Jordy R. We need him ASAP. His kid must be 18 by now. No, definitely not even close. I talked to Jordy the other day because, I had to tune in with him after this big switch. Yeah, big one. Anyways, no, you're right. Honestly, adding nodes is not a big deal. It can be done really, really quickly, and that infrastructure is there to bring the community in, or even just like whitelisting people through that system. You can deploy a node without. It's kind of freaky actually, but you can deploy a node without any technical aptitude whatsoever. So, I mean, I honestly, at this point, we're handsomely covered for the foreseeable future. So wouldn't worry about nodes.
Okay. All right. Yeah. And I just thought it was an interesting one. Thanks for sharing that and covering that. Like I said, you know a ton about this, and you know your way around that whole bit of the jungle.
I really don't see them cutting OG node operators after, you know, everything in the switch to V2 and a lot of us, you know, kind of burying a lot of I mean, look, like the
You got some
treasury.
static noise there now, mate, on your microphone.
Still?
Yeah.
Oh,
That's gone now.
I think it might be you. Maybe it's me. Anyways, but the treasury was covering my covering my node infrastructure for a while things were balancing out. So the treasury was actually paying for a lot of the subscriptions and a lot of the stuff that we do on COTI Confidential too. So that's it's going to be interesting to see how, you know, we deal with that. But you still getting interference from my mic?
Yeah.
All right. Well, then it's time to go. I don't know why, guys. So
That is the cue. That is a cue for us to get the hell out of Dodge. That was an interesting few hours. Certainly a little bit wiser now on a bunch of things, including being wiser on the things that I'm not wise on. So it was very interesting, and thanks to everyone that tuned in and everyone's comments, all very highly appreciated. We read all of them, and we take your opinions seriously, of course.
all right. Well, I don't know if you guys can hear me. This is us from coast to coast around the world. I'm going to sign off because I got a mic problem. We'll see you next time.
Cold so slick, circuit stay garbled. Encrypted hustle, no chains, no marbles. Faster than the rest, cost stays humble. Breaking through the game, watch others crumb. Nobody do it like this. Circuits in the mist, faster, cheaper, sharper, crypto alchemist. Others stuck in the lane, we flipping the twist. Gobble circuits, baby, we the future, don't miss. Others move slow, we quantum and speed. Blocks they can't touch, fulfilling the need. Chains bound tight, but we unshackled. While they debug, our code is tackled. What they can't do, we already done. Their game outdated, we just begun. Algorithms flex, they can't compete. Circuits